All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's topic is going to be a follow-up on my previous video that I just posted about candlesticks. So if you haven't seen that one, I'll post the link somewhere around here. Watch that one first, come back, watch this one. That way you can kind of follow along with what we've been talking about and where we're going. All right, so today's video, we're going to go a little bit deeper into what we discussed last video, which is actually going into the charts and kind of seeing how these play out, and then looking on multiple time frames. So we're going to drop down to a 8-hour time frame, 4-hour time frame, and then a 1-hour time frame. So we're going to break down that candle into lower time frames, and then we're also going to analyze basically who's in control um, based on that pattern, and show you why it formed the way it did, and show you who's truly in control when you look at a different time frame. And then we're also going to plot our structure levels on a lower time frame, which will help us look for entry points. That's all in this video. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. I'll see you in the charts. All right, welcome back. So as you can see, here we have the daily chart with our shooting star candle. This is one that we discussed in my previous video. So as you can see, we're going to zoom out a little bit. Here we had a uptrend, and then we received this signal, which is the shooting star candle. So basically, based on this candle, the rules, if you were trading off a daily chart, would be to wait for your next candle to give you confirmation that it's actually going to be a bullish move, right? So what if we don't want to wait that long? What if, like look how long this bearish candle was. That's almost half the move. We don't want to wait that long. We don't want to miss out on all those pips. So that's the benefit of dropping down to a lower time frame. So let's break this down into lower time frames and see what we can do with it, right? All right, so we're going to go into our 8-hour time frame, and as you can see here, we have 3 different candles, right? You have a full day divided by 3, you got 8 hours, right? So you have 3 8-hour candles. So in the first 8 hours of that day, bulls were clearly in control, right? They pushed it however many pips this is. Let's take a quick peek. All right, so they pushed it up nearly 50 pips, right? In 8 hours. So that's the Aussie session, the Asian session, and then part of the London session, right? So they were clearly in control there. But the following 8 hours, we had a long-legged doji, and that's another candlestick that we spoke about in that previous video, which, this one's kind of a neutral signal, but it does give you a little bit of hints that, yeah, there's buyers because they did push it up, but there's also sellers, right? So this isn't a signal in itself, but it does give you an idea that maybe there's a potential reversal, right? So we'll follow that up with our next candle. So the next 8 hours, clearly bearish. I mean, it didn't quite take back our full first 8 hours, right? The first 8 hours was bigger. However, they did have control for that last remaining bit of the day, right? So the start of the day, bulls were in control. But throughout the rest of the day, bears were in control. So it still ended up being a slightly bullish candle, right? We did close a little bit higher than we opened. However, bulls lost control because bears pushed it down. And that's basically what that's signifying, right? All right, so like we just discussed, buyers were in control for the first 8 hours based on that time frame. But if we drop down to a 4-hour time frame, we'll see what it's telling us. All right, so this one here is going to be our 4-hour time frame. And as we can see, it wasn't 8 hours that they were in control. Buyers were actually only in control for the first 4 hours based on this time frame. The remainder of the day, well, for the next 12 hours, the next 3 candles, they were just indecision candles, a little battle between buyers and sellers, telling us that there's a potential reversal happening right here. And then that's when we get our move. We got 8 hours of selling. So there was more selling throughout this day based on time than there was buyers, right? Yeah, buyers had a larger move, but based on the amount of time that they had that, sellers actually had more of that day, right? They had control more of that day. So basically, that kind of is signaling that there's a potential reversal happening for sure, right? So this is good news for our shooting star candle, right? All right, so now we're gonna drop down to a 1 hour time frame and see what happens. See what it shows us, right? Now it looks like the first hour we opened here. Second hour, sellers pushed down a little bit, but then buyers for 1 hour pushed it very, very strongly. And then it kind of ranged a little bit. You know, it didn't really do a whole lot here. Buyers had another 3 hours, which was pretty strong, which was on our 4 hour time frame, this little wick up here, right? That was this move right here. But then sellers took all that plus some and pushed it down. So this was buyers, and then we had sellers push it past that level, right? And then it kind of just ranged a little bit for the rest of the day. So we had 4 hours straight of selling right here. All right. So now you can kind of see that, yeah, buyers did push it up, but there's definitely sellers around here. There's definitely a chance of this reversing. And now that we've looked at multiple time frames, we're going to start plotting some structure levels on these charts. We're going to stick to the 4 hour and the 1 hour because those are going to be our entry time frames, right? We're not looking for an entry on our daily. We already discussed that. We don't want to wait for the full next candle, right? We don't want to wait for that. We want to get in as early as possible to get the best position as possible. And that way we can have our stop loss a little bit higher and not have to risk as much on this trade, right? So let's blow this up here. All right, so we got this blown up a little bit better here. We got our 4 hour time frame on the left side, a 1 hour time frame on the right side, and we're going to start marking up this chart. We're going to see if we can't get a better entry. All right, so I'm going to grab my little tool here. See, we had a wick up top here, and we're going to have a zone in and around there. We're going to have a zone around here. Oop. And we're going to have a zone around there. All right. So that's our 4 hour time frame. All right. So now that we got our structure levels on this chart, we're going to go look a little bit further into it. So as you can see, this was our last 8 hours that we discussed. There was, sellers were just in control for the last 8 hours on the 4 hour time frame. And then our new day started and we had more selling and we had more selling. And then we hit that zone that we drew from previous, right? So we wouldn't have known what was happening right here, right? So I can actually get rid of this for you. All right, so now that you kind of can't see what's going on, we'll just let this play out. So this was our first 4 hours, right? After that shooting star candle. So we did have to wait a little bit. We're not going to get in right away, but this is a signal that it's on our watch list. So we're going to watch it and see how it plays out. So first 4 hours, another bearish move. Good signal. All right. Next 4 hours, very strong. But it hit our support. Okay, so what do we do? Well, we're not going to want to get in just yet because we're still above structure. We haven't broken that, right? Let's go to our next candle. Okay, so this one pushed up to our other resistance level. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, do we want to get in here? Based on this 4-hour time frame, not really. Because this isn't really a signal to get in. This was, which we're going to discuss in a new video, but this was a signal in itself. So this candle is bigger than this one, and that's a bullish engulfing candle. You're not going to want to sell on that. However, this one did work out in our favor, as you can see, with a nice strong bearish move. But it doesn't always work like that. Usually when you have at structure a bullish engulfing, price will continue higher. All right. But because we had this shooting star candle, that's likely part of the reason, not all of it, obviously, that's just part of the reason why we had a nice bearish move off or following this bullish candle, right? But yeah, as you can see, drawing our zones, it did play into it, and then it continued for a nice rally. All right, so let's see what we can do on a 1-hour chart. Where did my chart even go? What the heck happened there? Anyway, now that we're on the 1-hour time frame, these are our same zones that we had on our 4-hour time frame. So now, as you can see, after our shooting star candle, our first 3 hours, we had a nice bearish move. And then price kind of ranged a little bit at that structure zone. Bulls took control of this and they sent it up for 2 hours. However, our next candle, we had a nice spinning top candle, which is a neutral signal. However, based on the fact that we had this, right? We had our shooting star candle. We had a nice bearish move, consolidation, bearish move. This, all this is a retrace up. And you can see it clearer on this chart. On the daily, the 8-hour, 4-hour, it's not that clear. But here you can clearly see what's happening. And the reason, I'm sure if I pulled up volume, the volume was pretty high on this candle right here. Buyers were pushing it up, trying. But sellers like, nope. This one's going down. We're not sending this up. All right. So a more aggressive trader, as soon as this one closed, could get in, right? You can get in somewhere around there, stop loss up top, and wherever you want to set your target, that's totally up to you. But, you could get in there. A more conservative trader would have probably wanted to wait for more confirmation because this is like spinning top. It is a neutral signal. So if you wanted to wait for confirmation, you could have got in right here. You had a little bit wider stop loss because you would have still wanted to put it above structure, right? However, for this particular scenario, it would have worked out. You still would have got like 5x, right? It's still a ridiculous trade here. And I mean, something else you could have done, which I mean, we haven't discussed yet, but for anybody who stuck around this long in this video, you get a little bit extra right here. So take our Fibonacci extensions, take it from here, our first strong leg, right? And I mean, it's really and truly up to you. You could have taken this leg too, but if you want to load up your position a little bit more, And then, right, what you would do, take your position there, set your targets into your zone here, your extension zone, the 1.272 and the 1.618. Set your targets there. And then once you hit there, you can reduce your position, right? Move your stop loss to break even, all right? Set a trailing stop, ride the rest. And then as it started to come up, right, you would have had, let's see, if you moved your stop loss to break even, let's say you take your profit right here, right in the middle of this zone, right? Let's say you set your, like you reduced your position right here, all right? And you set that. So you got roughly a 30 pip stop loss, right? So from the bottom of this, 30 pips, you still would have caught 120 pips on the remainder of that position, right? So whatever you decided to leave open, a riskless trade, you would have still caught 120 pips off this. All right, so that was something that we haven't really discussed yet, but that's something you can do, right? And that's the benefit of dropping down to lower time frames. You can do so much more with it. Get your signal off a higher time frame because they're more reliable, but then drop down to lower time frames and look for possible entry points, right? And get better entry points. Because let's jump up to that daily chart, right? All right, so our entry would have been 3515. All right. Now let's go to a daily chart. Okay, whoa. Having technical difficulties right now. Holy. All right. We're here. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. All right, so that would have been our entry point at the top of this candle. But on a daily chart, based on the way you're supposed to trade these patterns, if you're only trading off the daily chart, you would have got in right there. Dropping down time frames, you just saved yourself over 75 pips or made an extra 75 pips by dropping down and analyzing this further. All right, now you see the power of multiple time frames. It's honestly ridiculous. And I'm so surprised people don't know this because a lot of people don't. A lot of people trade off their time frame and their time frame only. Maybe they'll go one up, one down, Here we drop from a daily to an hourly. A lot of people don't like to trade off the hourly. They say it's too risky. But if you're using the higher time frames for your signal, but only looking lower for entries, now you got a system that works, right? All right, so what did we discuss today? Multiple time frames gives us a better understanding of what actually happened, right? We could see who really had control, right? Who had control in that day? Was it the buyers or was it the sellers? Based on this example specifically, buyers had control very limited time throughout this day. Yeah, they had some nice pressure in that short amount of time, but based on an actual time frame, sellers were definitely in control during this day, right? And then we were able to determine that there was structure levels within those next candles and the previous candles before the shooting star that we didn't really see, that we didn't know about. We had the one above it, and then there was one way before, probably I didn't really look, but I'm sure if we were looking for structure levels just off that daily, they would have been a lot wider. So we were able to determine smaller zones that gave us that better entry, right? Instead of waiting that full day and getting in 75 pips farther away than where our actual entry was, we were able to get in earlier and maximize off this trade, right? All right, so that's all I got for today. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel for more. Leave me a comment below if there's any topics you would like me to discuss. I mean, I'm sure there's little tips and tricks that I've accumulated over the years that maybe you would like to learn or get my opinion on. So, leave me a comment about that. And yeah, other than that, hope you learned something. Hope this will help you in your trading in the future. And yeah, have yourself a good day. Take care.